Hey, Chili Pop! Fans, today you're in for a treat with our documentary on this stop-motion classic. Ready for a spooky and mysterious journey? Today, we're diving into Coraline and its secret world. This film is renowned as a masterpiece, suitable for all ages. So adjust your headphones and get ready to either fall in love or be terrified of waking up with buttons instead of eyes.
Coraline is a 2009 film, directed by Henry Selick, produced by Laika Studios, and based on Neil Gaiman's 2002 book. It features a story that blends American coming-of-age drama with horror that makes you question whether it was a great idea to hit play on this film. Here's the gist of the story. Coraline Jones must adapt to life in the Pink Palace Apartments, an old house in Ashland, Oregon, after moving from Pontiac, Michigan. Her parents, Charlie and Mel, who work from home, tend to ignore her. Not that it's an easy task. Amid this, she meets a quirky neighbor who gives her a doll, and as if that wasn't strange enough, she ends up in an alternate reality where her parents and the rest of the neighborhood have buttons instead of eyes.
We have two crucial interviews to kick off our review or documentary, whichever you prefer. First, we have an interview with Henry Selick and Neil Gaiman discussing the creation and production of this incredible film.
My daughter Holly was about 4 years old, and she would go off to kindergarten, and then she would come back and she would see me writing, and she would clamber up onto my lap and dictate stories to me that I would type out for her. And these would be stories about young girls, very much like Holly, who would normally have evil witches pretending to be their mothers, and the witches would lock the little girls up and the girls would escape, and they'd be filled with escaping and witches. And I thought, this is so cool. She loves stories like this. I'll buy her some. And I went out to the bookshop and started looking for really good scary books for 4-year-olds and couldn't find anything. And thought, I'll write her one. And the initial plan with Coraline was something that was going to be about 2,000 words long. I thought it'll just be a very short story. I borrowed bits from my childhood. I borrowed the layout of the flat where we lived, except that I gave it the door that opened onto a wall from when I was a little boy. So I thought, she'll go through the door, it will be a flat like theirs, there'll be another mother, and I will tell the story. And I started it and discovered as I started it that it very obviously wasn't a 2,000-word story. And really, that was how it all began. It took me 10 years to finish, mostly because I abandoned it halfway through because life caught up with me, and it was this thing that I was doing in my own time, and I ran out of my own time. I started it again when I looked around and realized that even though Holly was probably now too old for it, I had another daughter, and if I didn't finish it soon, she would be too old for it. So I got back to it, and I finished it when Maddie was 6, and read it to her, and she liked it. And I thought, okay, and sent it off to my publisher. When I finished the first draft, I gave it to my film agent, John Levin, at CAA in Los Angeles, and I said, John, there are only 2 people who I would ever want touching this. One would be Tim Burton, the other would be Henry Selick, who directed Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach. And could you get a copy of it to both of them and see if either of them would be interested in making it into a movie? And I don't know if the copy to Tim Burton ever reached or got read by Tim Burton, but a week later I got a phone call from Henry Selick saying, I've read Coraline, I want to make it a movie. And that would have been in probably about 2001. So it's taken Henry 7 years to make his movie.
In Neil Gaiman's first interview, we uncover many things, such as a possible inspiration from his daughter for creating Coraline and how his story connects with Coraline's father in the film. We also notice similarities between the character and the author.
I say thank you for the pie. You said
Good, yeah.
Such a good pie. Now, the first thing I want to know is when you're working every single day with this 3D process, how does that affect your eyes and your brain and just the way you start thinking about life in general?
I had more difficulties when I first got into animation. where you start animating things and you're in a completely different time frame. I would have these dreams of animating my girlfriend while she was sleeping. It was a strange sort of adjustment. I'm a little better now. I can go into this world of stop motion and work in this time frame of creating life very slowly, frame at a time. But I've learned I have to be able to jump out of it on a daily basis.
Well, I guess I was also talking about just wearing the 3D glasses on a day-to-day basis. Have you experienced any kind of like weird sensation with your depth perception? Because even coming out of this, I kind of had a weird experience where everything looked like it was just like woof.
I've found on a couple of occasions I forgot to put my glasses on and I didn't need them to see the movie in 3D.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to know, how did you work with the actors in developing their voices when you are working on a stop motion and it is a bit slower process and they don't get to see quite what's going on right off the bat?
Well, there's the script and there's discussions. You often design the characters before the voices are cast. So, you might bring them a maquette, which is a painted sculpture of a character. You're looking for things to give them, because it's actually very difficult to do voice work for animated films. You're not in costume. They're not interacting on a set with the other actors, so it's a challenge. In the case of Dakota, I gave her a little bit of a Midwest accent, sort of flattened A's, something to hold on to sort of find her way back to the character again and again, because you don't just record the whole movie and you don't see the actors again. You're always rewriting, you're going back to them every few months, and the challenge is to get them back into character. It's just a process.
Well, now, in your studio in Portland, you walk around and you're overseeing pretty much every single shot of this film. Did that ever almost give you like a god complex, being in charge of all of these people and like manipulating them to what you wanted?
Ultimately, it was never about power. It was about a vision that, and what people want to know is they want to show you something and they want an answer. They want to know, is this working? And they will trust someone who can say it's not. I need this faster. This needs to be blue. This is too complex. We have to start over. And the fact is, I've worked on this and thought about the movie for such a long time. I really kind of developed a complete imaginary version of the movie. So ultimately, if I've got the answers and have a vision, then I have the support of the gang. And it's not godlike. It's more, like the chief surgeon at a hospital, the captain of a ship.
Well, is it going to be easy for you to step away from this and move into another project since this took so long, or are you okay moving right into something else? Or do you have those sort of plans?
Right this moment, it's Coraline is just been, finished. It's coming out to the world shortly, and I'm very much still in the Coraline mode. There's some things bubbling along, and I actually look forward. I loved writing the screenplay for this, adapting Neil Gaiman's brilliant book, and that's something that I could get into actually pretty quickly. I could not be dropped into another situation, working with 200 crew members and directing. But the writing process, writing another screenplay, will be a pleasure that I could actually get into pretty soon.
And do you have a date as far as when you're going to turn it into a toy factory? Because you said you might do that. The fans want to know, because they heard that and almost might turn into a reality.
We have a small group of people there who are doing some prototypes of more super collectible, rare, one-of-a-kind sort of toys and collectibles. We're hoping we can make that a very much still in the Coraline mode.
To describe how he wasn't entirely out of that richly detailed and narrative world, even after the film's release. Henry also discusses the challenges of managing a team at the scale of Laika Studios. Next, let's talk about the cast and voice actors.
One of the main aspects of a film is its cast, and Coraline is no different. We have Dakota Fanning as Coraline, Terry Hatcher as both the mother and the other mother, Jennifer Saunders as Miss Spink, Ian McShane as Mr. Babinski, John Hodgman as Coraline's father, Robert Bailey Jr. as Wybie, among other actors who make up this incredible cast. Stay tuned for some interviews with the cast and a behind-the-scenes look at the recordings, including an interview with the Brazilian-Portuguese voice actor for Wybie.
I 3 different voices, so 3 different versions of characters. I play the mother, who is really tired and worn out. Then there's other mother, who is just surreally perfect and has just sweet, sugary, I can do anything for you and I can make anything happen.
Mom? What are you doing here in the middle of the night?
You're just in time for supper, dear.
I play 2 roles in the film. I play Coraline's father, who's sort of a bedraggled, exhausted, well, like any father, who's got to put up with a lot of stuff at work and family life and kind of can't keep it all together. And that frustrates Coraline because, of course, she wants her parents' attention. Now, in the other world, through the secret door, through the secret passageway in the house, I play the other father, who's a lot more fun, a lot more swinging, frankly. He's got a kind of a Dean Martinish style, and he's got 2 black buttons for eyes.
I honestly am so still taken aback by the costumes because they're like everybody's clothes just totally miniaturized, and the teeny gloves and the teeny sweaters and the vest. It's like it's so amazing that somebody can actually sew those, and they have to put the wire and everything so they move. And I think that's probably what struck me the most was the wardrobe, and also what goes into just making the model and the silicone and how they move, the eyebrows raise and the chins move and everything. It's incredible.
You see the script and you kind of imagine what it's going to be like, but when you come out and you see the sets come to life, when you see the little puppets come to life, it really is, it's really inspiring, and so you get uplifted when you come out and you see the process that the movie is going through.
If you've read the book before and you see it come to life, it takes all the spookiness from the book and also adds that really fun element to it. And I think people will, it's a real treat to watch, and you just sit back and you're just wowed every sequence.
Gustavo, você gostaria que saísse Caroline 2? Caroline 2? Caroline. Ah, o Caroline do... Ah, é verdade. Pra poder dublar o... Ah, o Wybie. Eu gostaria. Quando Coraline. É Coraline. Por isso que eu falei, ó. Ah, verdade, eu li errado aqui. Coraline. Eu tinha falado Carolina, eu falei, não, Caroline, não, Coraline. Desculpa. E ele... Um personagem muito interessante porque ele apoia a Coraline em todo o desenvolvimento da trama, tem um amor ali por ela, e você vê esse desenho, ele não é um desenho infantil. Não é, definitivamente. Mas ele traz umas questões importantes para a nossa vida, e até a parte do automatizado, né, que são aquelas pessoas que estão ali cumprindo aquela função por causa daquela entidade, entre aspas. Mas é muito bonitinho o desenho, o cuidado com que ele é feito, né? E muito real, porque na maioria das animações que você vê, os dentes são todos perfeitos e ali você... Eu entendi. E não é, ele mostra a vida, assim. Eu achei um desenho muito bonitinho, assim. Gostaria muito de fazer o 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Quando tiver. Muito legal.
Now, let's move on to the next topic, Laika Studios. Laika is a studio officially founded in July 2005 by Phil Knight, co-founder and chairman of Nike, and known for its 3 internationally recognized animated features, Coraline, Paranorman, and The Box Trolls. Phil Knight's studio originated from the purchase of Vinton Studios in 2002, an animation leader with 30 years of history, which was officially transformed into Laika 3 years later. From the start, it benefited from the supervision of visionary director Henry Selick, who joined the studio in 2003. Over the years, Phil Knight has positioned Laika as one of the most renowned producers of stop-motion films, as well as commercials, music videos, and shorts. Today, the studio is known for its darker animated visuals, a legacy of Selick's influence, and its approach to socially and ideologically driven themes. Travis Knight, Phil Knight's son, is the current president of the Portland, Oregon-based company, which has two divisions: Laika, the animation studio responsible for films and shorts, and Laika House, a producer primarily of commercials for advertising agencies, having created projects for companies such as Coca-Cola, Honda, Starbucks, and more.
To start our curiosities, a channel called Urbex and Chill released a video on their channel showcasing the real-life house resembling Coraline's, and it's incredibly similar in the small details. Continuing with the curiosities, over 30 Coraline dolls were created, each with different facial expressions and outfits to capture emotions and scene changes. The team built detailed miniature sets, including a mini version of Coraline's house with all its rooms. We also have the black cat theory. The black cat theory in Coraline suggests that the cat, which appears to be a simple pet, is actually an entity with malevolent intentions. According to the theory, the cat is a manifestation of the true evil of the other mother, acting as an agent of manipulation and control. In Coraline, the black cat appears both in the real world and the alternate, always at critical moments. Its ability to move between these worlds and its enigmatic behavior lead to speculation that it might be an emissary or a spy for the other mother. The theory proposes that the cat might be helping the other mother by spying on and manipulating Coraline, or even being an extension of the villain herself. Throughout the story, the cat becomes a symbol of deceit and manipulation, and Coraline must confront not only the other mother, but also the cat to restore order and save her parents. We also have the alternate reality theory, which suggests that the alternate world in Coraline is not just a magical place, but a projection of Coraline's desires and dissatisfactions. According to this theory, the other mother creates this world as an idealized version of what Coraline wishes her life could be, offering a more colorful and appealing existence than the reality she knows. In this alternate world, everything seems perfect at first, but the perfection is superficial and hides the other mother's malevolent intentions. The theory argues that the alternate world reflects Coraline's frustrations and emotional needs, which she tries to fill with this distorted version of reality. Thus, Coraline's story becomes a journey not only to save her parents and herself, but also to confront and understand her own desires. The theory of the parents' death in Coraline suggests that Coraline's parents are already dead, and the alternate world is, in fact, a space where Coraline tries to rescue their souls or deal with their loss. Here are the main points of this theory. According to this theory, the alternate world created by the other mother is a sort of purgatory or dimension where Coraline can interact with an idealized version of her parents. Instead of being a simple parallel world, it is a place where her parents' spirits are trapped. Disappearance of the real parents. Coraline's real parents are depicted as absent and neglectful, but they are also often described as too busy to pay attention to Coraline. The theory suggests that this absence is an indication that they are not actually present. Behavior of the other mother. The other mother presents herself as a loving maternal figure, but with hidden intentions. The theory considers that this figure is an entity manipulating Coraline to maintain control over the alternate world and the spirits of her parents. Coraline's goal in entering the alternate world is to save her parents, but the theory suggests that her true motivation is to bring her parents back to life, or free them from their state of death. When Coraline confronts the other mother and seeks to rescue her parents, the theory proposes that she is actually trying to restore her parents' lives in the real world, dealing with the reality of their death. This theory can be seen as a symbolic interpretation of themes of loss and mourning. The alternate world represents Coraline's way of dealing with her parents' absence and seeking reconciliation, while also facing her own fears and desires.
According to this theory, Coraline's victory over the other mother can be seen as an act of overcoming pain and loss, bringing her parents back to the real world and allowing her to accept reality and move on with her life. This theory adds a deeper layer of interpretation to Coraline, linking the plot to the universal theme of death and mourning and exploring how Coraline confronts and overcomes these emotional challenges. Whether any of these theories have a basis, we don't know, but they certainly spark curiosity. As we wrap up our exploration of the enchanting and eerie world of Coraline, we see that the story goes beyond a simple Gothic fairy tale. It is a profound reflection on human desire, courage, and the quest for truth. Coraline Jones is not just a heroine in a fantasy. She is a symbol of our ability to face the unknown and the darkness within ourselves. Her triumph over the other mother reminds us that, even in the darkest moments, truth and love have the power to illuminate the path. Through her adventures, we learn that, although the world may be full of challenges and illusions, it is our own bravery and discernment that define our reality. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and see you next time, where we will continue exploring the fascinating layers of cinema and imagination.